Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we are going to talk through Cracking the Aging Code, the new science of growing old and what it means for staying young by Josh Mitteldorf and Dorian Sagan, published in 2016. Mitteldorf and Sagan's book argues that our bodies do not wear out like machines do. While machines gradually rust and accumulate damage, our bodies have the ability to repair and maintain themselves. They challenges the popular notion that aging is a result of physical wear and tear, asserting instead that aging is programmed into our genes by evolution. Aging serves as a way to make room for the next generation and stabilize the ecosystem. The body can fix itself in ways that machines cannot, which is evidenced by the fact that exercise strengthens the body while inactivity leads to rapid damage. Mitteldorf and Sagan also explores organisms that do not age, suggesting that aging is not an inevitable process. Two theories of aging are discussed: the orgel hypothesis and the free radical theory. The orgel hypothesis, proposed by physicist Leo Szilard, suggests that cells accumulate errors in their DNA over time, leading to aging. However, the discovery of stem cells later disproved this theory, as stem cells are able to produce new cells without errors. The free radical theory, proposed by chemist Denham Harman, suggests that high-energy chemistry inside cells can cause damage and aging. This theory led to the development of antioxidant supplements, although it has faced criticism and lost credibility. The author highlights that these theories, influenced by physics rather than biology, fail to fully explain the complex process of aging. The free radical theory suggests that accumulated damage to biomolecules by free radicals is responsible for aging. However, the theory has faced criticism, and the use of antioxidants to combat free radicals has yielded disappointing results. Mitteldorf and Sagan's book also explores the role of mitochondria, exercise, and genetics in the aging process. It highlights the complexity of aging in different organisms and challenges the idea that aging is simply a mechanical or chemical process of wearing out. The wide variety of aging patterns in nature suggests that aging can be stopped or slowed down in certain organisms. The authors provide the example of the Hyperboreans in Greek mythology, who never age or get sick but are eventually killed by chance. They then explores the aging pattern in plants, specifically the Sanicula shrub in Sweden, which does not age but has a constant mortality rate. The concept of aging is defined as an increase in the risk of death, and different species have varying patterns of mortality. They also introduce the idea of fertility as another measure of aging, with some species experiencing a decline in fertility while others continue to increase in fertility. Mitteldorf and Sagan's book discusses the different ways that organisms age and die in nature. It mentions that giant clams provide nourishment to a whole community and can release 500 million eggs in a day. The rough-eye rockfish, a deep-sea creature, has a slow life cycle and can live for over 200 years, but due to overfishing, it is an endangered species. Annette Bowdish introduced a new perspective for comparing the aging process in different species based on the shape rather than the duration of their life histories. Mitteldorf and Sagan's book also explores semelparity, which is rapid and sudden aging and death at the end of a reproductive cycle, using examples such as mayflies, octopuses, and salmon. Octopuses in particular stop eating after reproducing, leading to their death. Despite their relatively short lifespan, are highly intelligent creatures capable of learning, strategizing, and problem-solving. They have an interesting reproductive behavior where the removal of certain endocrine glands can significantly alter their lifespan. Plants, on the other hand, can live for thousands of years, benefiting from their immobility and the ability of their stem cells to continuously regenerate. Trees, despite their grandeur, have a characteristic age after which they become more susceptible to mechanical hazards. Mitteldorf and Sagan's book also delves into the concept of aging in reverse, exploring examples like the regrowth of worms and the rejuvenation of the immortal jellyfish. Furthermore, it touches upon the unique aging patterns in hydras, bees, and humans, challenging the conventional evolutionary explanation for menopause in women. Post-reproductive lifespan and how it contradicts modern evolutionary theory is discussed. The authors propose that an older, retired segment of the population helps stabilize the population over cycles of feast and famine. They use the example of beetle-oid rotifers in dandelions to highlight the diversity in evolutionary strategies. The beetle-oid rotifers, despite not having males and reproducing asexually, have managed to survive through other means such as drying out to elude fungal parasites. Dandelions, on the other hand, reproduce asexually but still maintain genetic diversity. The authors also highlight the diversity in aging patterns found in nature, suggesting that nature can turn aging on and off. They raise concerns about the limitations and flaws in current evolutionary theories and the need for a rethinking of its foundations. Mendel's theory of inheritance, which he presented in 1865 and published in 1866, provided a resolution to Darwin's concern about the collapse of diversity. Mendel's factors, or genes, determine an individual's traits and are passed down from its parents. Sex, which shuffles these genes, promotes diversity by creating different combinations of traits. In addition, sexual reproduction predisposes species to become more social, as they must pay attention to potential mates. Fisher's quantitative model of evolution, known as neo-Darwinism, built on Mendel's work and provided a way to measure and predict fitness in terms of gene prevalence. Fisher's theory, although flawed in some aspects, gained success because it created a fertile intellectual environment and allowed for the development of a mathematical theory of evolution. Lab experiments, particularly breeding experiments with fruit flies, have provided support for Fisher's theory. However, caution must be exercised in generalizing these results to natural selection in the wild. The author discusses the important role of evolution in biology, emphasizing that all biological phenomena can only be understood in the light of evolution. Theodosius Dobzhansky, a devout member of the Eastern Orthodox Church, believed that evolution was the instrumentality of God's creation. The book also delves into the two parallel tracks of evolutionary science, one involving theoretical work and the other involving naturalistic observation. The author introduces J. B.S. Haldane, a founder of population genetics and the inventor of the concept of the selfish gene. The book further explores the theories of population control and the debates surrounding them. Additionally, it discusses the influence of social context, including social Darwinism and eugenics, on the development of neo-Darwinism. Neo-Darwinus is criticized for not considering the possibility that aging may have been selected for as an adaptive advantage. It highlights the mainstream scientists' inability to warm up to the idea that aging may be a sacrifice made by individuals for the larger community, due to their belief in theories of survival of the fittest individual. The book then provides an overview of 3 theories on aging that have come to be accepted in the field of evolutionary biology. These theories include the idea that aging is beyond the reach of natural selection, that the genes causing aging and increasing fertility are the same, and that the body compromises infrastructure for reproduction resulting in aging. The author also mentions the contributions of August Weismann and Peter Medawar to the understanding of aging in evolution. 2 theories of aging that stemmed from Medawar's hypothesis. The first theory, known as the mutation accumulation theory, suggests that harmful mutations that only affect fitness late in life can accumulate over time, causing problems that become more severe with age. However, field studies conducted after Medawar's book disproved the theory, as aging factors into the demise of many animals in the wild. The second theory, called antagonistic pleiotropy, proposes that genes that enhance fertility early in life cause aging later in life. However, this theory does not hold up, as genes for aging have been found in organisms across various species, suggesting that aging has been around for a long time and has not been weeded out by natural selection. George Williams's antagonistic pleiotropy (AP) theory is discussed, which proposes that genes that benefit an organism in youth may lead to negative health consequences later in life. However, the theory has faced criticism. First, there are many genes that promote aging without having pleiotropic benefits. Second, genes can be turned on or off depending on their necessity, challenging the idea that the benefits and hazards of genes cannot be separated. The author then evaluates how Williams's predictions from his theory have fared over the years. While some predictions have been confirmed, such as animals that increase in fecundity aging more slowly, Many of the predictions have not held true. The book explores experiments with fruit flies breeding for longevity, which initially confirmed the theory but later contradicted it. The AP theory has been challenged and modified by subsequent research. AP theory suggests that animals with longer lifespans have fewer offspring, while those with shorter lifespans have more offspring. Mutation accumulation, MA, predicts that animals with longer lifespans have more genetic mutations, while those with shorter lifespans have fewer mutations. Disposable soma, DS theory proposes that energy limitations force compromises in an organism's lifetime, resulting in aging. The author criticizes AP and MA, stating that the data from experiments did not support either theory. The writer also challenges DS theory, as animals that eat less actually live longer. Additionally, the book mentions that there is no evidence suggesting that reproduction shortens an organism's lifespan. The author discusses the relationship between fertility and aging in both zoo animals and humans. In zoo animals, the data suggests that reproduction does not have a significant impact on lifespan. Good medical care and the absence of predators in zoo environments allow for a more accurate understanding of lifespan under standard conditions. In humans, studies have produced conflicting results. Some show a positive correlation between fertility and longevity, while others show no relationship. The author also explores the concept of caloric restriction as a means of increasing lifespan. Cutting back on food has consistently proven to be an effective intervention in extending the lives of animals. However, the disposable soma theory, which proposes that bearing children accelerates aging, contradicts the findings of caloric restriction studies. The theory has also been challenged on methodological grounds. Aging is a phenomenon that impacts all living beings, but its purpose and origins remain a mystery. In the book, the concept of hormesis is explored, which is the idea that moderate stress can actually prolong life. This goes against the conventional belief that stress is harmful to the body. Starvation, exercise, and exposure to radiation are all forms of stress that have been found to increase lifespan. This challenges the prevailing theories about aging, such as random mutations, genes that cause damage, and a shortfall in energy for maintenance and repair. Aging serves as a way to level out the death rate in both good and bad times. However, this also means that the body is capable of living longer but does not do so under normal circumstances. Ultimately, the book argues for a new theory of aging that may not align with traditional evolutionary thinking. In protists, reproduction is simply dividing in two, resulting in two identical offspring cells with no parent remaining. This raises the question of what aging means for these organisms, since their entire life is organized around a single act of reproduction. The modern evolutionary theory of aging predicted that there should be no aging in protozoan clones. The origin of life on Earth is still a mystery, but many scenarios suggest that life began simple and grew complex through cooperation. One idea is that life has always existed and is built into the physics of matter. There are theories suggesting that life originated from outer space or from simple chemical systems that could autocatalyze. Another theory proposes that reproduction preceded metabolism, while some believe that metabolism came before reproduction. The invention of the cell wall and the merging of cells through symbiosis and cooperation led to the formation of individuals and increased complexity. Cooperation continued to evolve from social insects to ecosystems, where competition and cooperation happen at multiple levels. Sex, as one of life's best inventions, ties communities together and prevents selfish individuals from taking over. The writers discuss the importance of sex in evolution and the benefits of cooperative communities in ensuring the long-term viability of life. They explain how successful individuals are compelled to share their genes through sex, as evolution is not solely a matter of selfish genes. The most successful animal species are social insects, and the importance of maintaining sex for the health and diversity of biological communities. Middledorf and Sagan's book also explores the dilemma faced by evolution in enforcing gene sharing and the use of the carrot, sex, and the stick, death, to encourage cooperation. It further discusses replicative senescence in protists and how aging evolved as a means to protect the community by enforcing gene sharing. The discovery of cellular aging by Leonard Hayflick and his experiment to demonstrate replicative senescence is mentioned. The aging process and its effects on cells have long been a topic of scientific interest. In the 1930s, lab technician Ralph Buxbaum noticed that cell lines would periodically die, leading technicians to believe they had made mistakes. Elizabeth Blackburn later discovered that as cells reproduce, their chromosomes, which carry DNA, become shorter due to difficulty in copying the ends of the chromosomes. Blackburn also identified telomeres, which are repetitive DNA patterns at the ends of chromosomes, as protective buffers that prevent the loss of informational DNA during cell replication. Telomeres are restored by an enzyme called telomerase, which adds copies of the repetitive pattern to the ends of chromosomes. Short telomeres have been associated with increased mortality risk, cancer, and inflammation. This suggests that cellular senescence and telomere dynamics contribute to the aging process. Aging in protozoans, specifically in the form of cellular senescence or replicative senescence, provides insights into how aging evolved in higher organisms and its adaptive purpose. Telomeres, which are tails on the ends of chromosomes, play a role in cellular senescence. As cells divide and replicate, telomeres become shorter, leading to cell exhaustion and death. This mechanism acts as a policing mechanism, forcing successful individuals to share their genes with the community, thus maintaining diversity and facilitating adaptation. Apoptosis, or programmed cell death, is another form of aging observed in cells. This process occurs when a cell detects an infection or when precancerous cells eliminate themselves. In both cases, the cell sacrifices itself for the benefit of the organism or community. Mitochondria, once parasitic bacteria, have evolved into an essential part of eukaryotic cells, and their involvement in cell death shows how cooperation between organisms can lead to symbiotic relationships. A yeast cell's behavior has challenged the traditional understanding of evolution. When faced with food scarcity, yeast cells have been observed to sacrifice themselves through a process called apoptosis. This behavior allows the remaining cells a better chance at survival by turning the sacrificed cells into food. This contradicts the theory that individual cells would never commit suicide for the sake of others. However, recent research suggests that programmed cell death, including apoptosis, contributes to aging in humans. Diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, sarcopenia, and loss of fertility have been linked to apoptosis. The prevalence of cell suicide in these diseases indicates that apoptosis plays a role in the aging process. It is suggested that apoptosis benefits the community by maintaining population balance and preventing extinction. Additionally, predators have been found to exhibit a strategy of restraint by only consuming old or defective prey to prevent overconsumption and ensure a sustainable harvest. This contradicts the notion that evolution favors aggressive, self-serving behavior. Middledorf and Sagan's book discusses the assumption in evolutionary biology that populations evolve within a fixed ecosystem and the idea that individual animals and plants behave independently. However, there is a debate about whether ecosystems are stable due to an invisible hand maintaining balance or through active cooperation among species. The book also explores the rise and fall of the Rocky Mountain locust population as an example of a species overshooting its carrying capacity and driving itself to extinction. It suggests that ecosystems are complex and that there is a delicate balance between the needs and behaviors of individual species and the overall stability of the ecosystem. The author discusses the concept of positive feedback loops in ecological systems. In a simplified ecosystem, an increase in the lion population leads to a decrease in the gazelle population. This is because as the lion population grows, it preys on the young gazelles, resulting in a smaller next generation of gazelles. However, the larger number of lion mothers leads to even more lion babies, creating a runaway increase in the lion population. This process continues until all the gazelles are gone. Middledorf and Sagan's book then moves on to describe an experiment by Leo Luckenbill, where he set up a simplified ecosystem in a water bottle and observed the interactions between predator and prey species. Luckenbill found that he was unable to establish a stable community with predator and prey in balance, as one species would always outcompete and wipe out the other. The authors move on to explain that the equations used in classical ecology did not account for time delays in rapid population changes, and that real ecosystems with multiple species are more complex and less prone to collapse. They also discusses examples of population crashes, such as the introduction of reindeer to St. Matthew Island and the evolution of predators to preserve prey populations. The book explores the concept of population regulation as an evolutionary force and the role of aging in maintaining the stability of ecosystems. Without aging, animal populations would continue to grow until they experienced food shortages and epidemics, leading to widespread extinction. By aging, animals are able to avoid such catastrophic events by leveling the death rate in good and bad times. The demographic theory of aging suggests that aging evolved as a means to prevent extinction, even though it may seem counterintuitive to the immediate selective pressure against aging. Additionally, it discusses hormesis, the phenomenon where animals live longer when subjected to hardship, as further evidence of nature's ability to adapt to stress. Hormesis is an adaptive response in animals that allows them to live longer and maintain their strength under various forms of stress. The body seems to reserve its strength and longevity for times of stress rather than when conditions are ideal. The author also explains how the genes connected to aging are related to the adaptive response to stress. The presence of reactive oxygen species, ROS, commonly known as free radicals, in the body serves as a signal for stress and activates the body's defenses. When the body is not under stress, it does not activate these defenses. Additionally, they examine mathematical chaos in ecosystems and how population regulation is essential for the survival of species. The example of rabbits in Australia is given to demonstrate the consequences of unchecked population growth. Mitteldorf and Sagan discuss the impact of the myxoma virus on the rabbit population. The virus was released in the 1950s and caused a drastic decrease in the rabbit population. However, over time, the remaining rabbits developed resistance to the virus, acquired immunity spread through the population, and the virus mutated to become less deadly. The rabbit population in Australia remains a problem to this day. The author also explores the concept of aging in predator and prey species. Aging in animals, unlike plants, has evolved to protect the ecology from overexploitation. Aging helps control population turnover and ensures the survival of both predator and prey species. Additionally, Mitteldorf and Sagan discusses the tragedy of the commons, which is the idea that individual pursuit of self-interest can lead to disaster for everyone involved, and the Red Queen hypothesis, which suggests that species need to continually evolve to defend against parasites. Also, the author examines the role of sex and evolution in keeping populations diverse and enhancing evolvability. Evolution itself is a highly evolved process that has produced efficient systems for evolving. Aging contributes to improving evolvability by doubling the pace of evolutionary change. The need for adaptability in a constantly changing environment creates the need for population turnover, and aging helps with this turnover by leveling the playing field and making the evolutionary process more efficient. Aging also helps keep the population diverse by limiting the number of offspring one individual can produce. However, aging has an immediate cost to the individual in terms of fitness. The reason aging has evolved is not solely for its contribution to evolvability, but because nature has been forced to choose between faster reproduction and longer lifespan. Aging helps populations stay within the limit of reproduction imposed by the need to protect the producer species. The author also discusses various benefits of aging for predator-prey dynamics and resistance to microbial infection. Furthermore, they explore strategies for life extension and the misconception that it is about adding extra years in the nursing home. They also challenges the notion of natural as the preferred choice for health and longevity, asserting that natural diets and remedies are unlikely to slow down the aging process. The book discusses the idea that natural diets and remedies can help the body heal and function optimally. The focus is on caloric restriction and how it can extend lifespan, but many find it difficult to sustain in the long term. The hormone insulin plays a key role in the body's response to food, and low insulin levels are associated with slowing down aging. Consuming carbohydrates, particularly starches and sweets, can lead to an excess of sugar in the blood and an increase in insulin levels, which can accelerate the aging process. The use of certain drugs and supplements, such as metformin, may have anti-aging benefits. Exercise and fasting are also discussed as ways to improve insulin sensitivity and promote health and longevity. Middledorf and Sagan also touch on the effects of space travel on the body, the complexities of calorie absorption, and the potential benefits of intermittent fasting. They discusses the importance of clumping food consumption rather than spreading it evenly throughout the day and week in order to promote health and longevity. They also introduces the fasting mimicking diet, FMD, a low-calorie and low-protein diet that produces similar physiological responses to water fasting. The benefits of exercise are highlighted, emphasizing the importance of incorporating various forms of physical activity into daily routines. Yoga is suggested as a means of maintaining balance, flexibility, and overall health, while high-intensity exercise is shown to be more effective in terms of improving cardiovascular limits and overall health than longer, moderate-intensity workouts. The authors also explore the concept of hormesis and its role in explaining the broad benefits of exercise, as well as the mechanisms of self-destruction in the aging body. Anti-inflammatory strategies, such as the use of NSAIDs and natural supplements like fish oil and turmeric, are discussed as ways to combat the negative effects of inflammation. Melatonin is a hormone that helps regulate sleep and has potential antioxidant properties. While young people naturally produce melatonin in their bodies to aid in sleep preparation, older individuals usually have lower levels of melatonin at night. Many older people take melatonin supplements to aid in their sleep, although the effects may vary from person to person. Melatonin has also shown promise in slowing the spread of cancer, boosting the immune system, and delaying the aging process. The immune system plays a crucial role in protecting the body against infections and cancer cells, and its effectiveness decreases with age. Vitamin D supplementation can support immune function and lower the risk of infectious diseases and certain types of cancer. Telomeres, which shorten with cell division, may be a key factor in the aging process and may hold the potential for extending lifespan. Various natural supplements, such as astragalus, ashwagandha, and green tea, claim to promote telomerase activity, although further research is needed to validate their effectiveness. Overall, a combination of healthy lifestyle choices, supplements, and potential future technologies may contribute to a longer, healthier life. The authors discuss the concept of aging clocks, mechanisms by which the body keeps track of time and adjusts its behavior accordingly. These clocks include the shrinking of the thymus, attrition of telomeres in stem cells, and epigenetic modulation. They highlight the role of epigenetics in aging, particularly DNA methylation, suggesting that manipulating DNA methylation and other aging clocks may hold the key to resetting the body's aging process. Additionally, the authors examine the combination of anti-aging treatments and the potential benefits of removing senescent cells. The authors also discuss the regrowth of the thymus and its impact on immune function and overall health. They discusses various promising treatments and technologies that have the potential to extend human lifespan. One approach involves the regeneration of thymus glands with the FOXN1 gene, which has been shown to produce naive T cells in mice. In the future, it may be possible to develop FOXN1 drugs that can activate the body's own gene and rejuvenate the thymus. Another interesting discovery is the potential anti-aging effects of buckyballs, a carbon compound that has been found to extend the lifespan of rats when dissolved in olive oil. Additionally, research on inflammation, apoptosis, and stem cells is exploring ways to selectively target harmful processes while preserving beneficial ones, with the aim of increasing longevity and reducing age-related diseases. Telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of chromosomes, have been studied in relation to aging. Though it was initially believed that telomeres were irrelevant to human aging due to the presence of telomerase, the enzyme that restores telomere length, studies have shown a strong correlation between shorter telomeres and higher mortality rates, particularly from infectious diseases and heart attacks. Telomeres may act as an aging clock, influencing the rate of aging by affecting gene expression and chromosome folding. Scientists have been exploring ways to maintain telomere length, such as stimulating the body's native telomerase expression or using substances like astragalus extract, carnosine, and omega-3 fatty acids. The hope is that maintaining telomere length could potentially extend human lifespan. Another area of research involves heterochronic parabiosis, the process of joining two animals together to share a common pool of blood. Studies have shown that young blood plasma can rejuvenate old animals, suggesting the presence of chemicals and proteins in the blood that play a role in the aging process. Researchers have found that transfusions of blood plasma from young mice can stimulate nerve regrowth and improve brain function in mice with Alzheimer's disease. This has led to the exploration of human plasma transfusions in patients with late-stage Alzheimer's. However, the practicality of this procedure is questioned due to its high cost and the need for many young blood donors. Researchers are also studying the substances in young blood that are responsible for the rejuvenating effect and the signals in old blood that need to be removed or blocked. Some potential candidates include GDF11, oxytocin, and AMP kinase. The epigenetic state of chromosomes may serve as an aging clock, and that understanding this clock could be key to reversing aging. Despite these advancements, the ethical implications and consequences of extended lifespans raise important questions. Middledorf and Sagan discuss the negative consequences of human advancement and longevity on the Earth's ecosystem. They acknowledges the empathy we have for individual humans but highlights the conflict between individual welfare and the welfare of the Earth's community. The authors address concerns about the increase in human lifespan, asserting that advancements in life extension also increase health span, resulting in longer, more productive careers. However, the increase in longevity contributes to overpopulation, which poses challenges. It emphasizes the destructive impact humans have had on Earth's ecology, leading to the sixth mass extinction event. They raise questions about the sustainability of human life on Earth and suggests the need to become better stewards of the biosphere to ensure our survival. It concludes by exploring the importance of cooperation and slowing down growth for long-term stability. Humans possess a unique ability to negotiate fair and even cooperative terms, setting us apart from other species. However, democracy is dwindling in Western societies, exemplified by the United States. Representative governments have become a facade for authoritative bureaucracies that cater to powerful corporations, neglecting initiatives like energy conservation and environmental stewardship. As a result, we find ourselves descending down a path of radical individualism where the system can be easily manipulated, allowing those who cheat to amass fortunes while the majority are left disadvantaged. This leads to a potential global tragedy, with humanity struggling to divert from a path of ecocide. However, hope lies in democracy. The future is uncertain, but by embracing technological advancements, such as the merging of human intelligence with machine intelligence, we can transcend our limitations and experience a century of accelerated change. The authors reflect on the human desire to delude ourselves and suggest that science has become the new belief system for quieting our fears of death. They share their own personal pursuit of longevity through science and express hope for emerging life extension technologies. Paradoxically, although they are closer to death now, their fear of the void seems distant. The philosophical thoughts of Epicurus and Wittgenstein on the irrationality of fearing death are explored. They find the evolutionary understanding of the fear of death more helpful, explaining it as a result of the selfish gene theory. The fear of death is rooted in a primal instinct for self-preservation, triggering a rush of adrenaline. However, in modern humans, this fear has become a chronic, low-level presence that can be paralyzing. The authors ponder whether it is possible to escape fear while acknowledging the inevitability of death. Thank you so much for watching this video. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'll see you in the next video.